Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and welcome to part 1 of 3 of my Halloween special, where Strad von Zarevich and his rat Nibbles have given me a challenge to make a spooky ghost train. Ooh. Good. Well, I've always been a massive fan of the Monster Fighters Ghost Train set. That's set 9467 from 2012, which is an absolutely beautiful set with a lovely sort of old school locomotive pulling some wacky carriages, all with glow-in-the-dark pieces, and I think it looks fantastic. But there are 3 main reasons why I never bought that set. First of all, well, it's not motorised, it's just a push train, which makes it, well, a bit rubbish. But then again, I can fix that. Second of all, it's a bit basic. Basically, the wheels are not proper train wheels, it hasn't got proper buffers, all the connections are kind of push into ones, not magnets or anything. There's a repeated wagon even, which is a bit dull, and there's nowhere for a battery box or an IR receiver to go or anything like that. But then again, I can fix all that too. The third problem was that I didn't really have a suitable track to display it running, not without taking off another train just to make space in the old city. But in the new Lego room, albeit on the floor at the moment, I will be able to use the full outer loop that the Zeppelin train uses, just pull it into its siding, and then I can have a seasonal train running a full loop around my new city, completely unfettered, without removing any of the pre-existing trains. So, well, now I've got no excuse whatsoever. So I haven't gone ahead and bought that set. It's quite pricey. I decided to buy just the parts I needed because I'll be modifying it so much that although it will definitely look in the locomotive like the original, it'll have, well, a lot more functionality, detail, and all sorts of other stuff. So where I'm going to start today instead is with 2 spooky wagons, partially because I haven't actually got all the parts yet for the locomotive on my brick walls. They'll be coming in packages in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm going to start with 2 spooky wagons. I'm still going to stick to my usual build criteria for trains, and I want it to be thinner than 8 studs, or just by a hair thinner, so it can go through tunnels and through my bridges and so on when that's all built. And although the original did have some glow-in-the-dark pieces, I'm going to be adding as many as possible. So basically, when I turn out the lights of the new Lego room, given we've got no real window light leakage or anything like that, all we'll see is this glow-in-the-dark beast going around the loop. I think that'll look absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also going to add some trans neon yellow because I think that looks pretty good and spooky, and a lot more red because it's quite monochrome, that set. It's very black and white. I'm going to keep that black and white, but I think a bit of blood red will please Strad and basically make it look a lot more interesting. And then obviously on the carriages I'll have much more variety than the original. Some inspired by the original, but some completely brand new. Cool, right, well that's enough talking. I suggest we get on with it with our first custom carriage. What's that, Strad? Do I want some of your blood? No thanks. I just had a tea. Thanks anyway. Right, well the first one of my scary wagons was actually inspired by another Monster Fighters set. Specifically 9464, the Vampire Hearse, also from 2012. That's the one with Dr. Rodney Rathbone in it. After all the monsters. We don't know quite what they've done wrong, apart from be monsters, but anyway. Yeah, what I really liked about that was just the, well, back bit of the hearse, which has got the body in it, in that case of a vampire, all sort of laid out for procession, kind of like it's on a funeral. And I thought, well, that'd be great in train form. So forget the front of the vehicle, maybe make it a bit smaller so it fits within my size criteria, and Bob's your uncle. So that is what I'm going to do. So I think with all these wagons, I'm going to start with a red base underneath the train wheels, linking everything together, and that just gives it a bit more colour. Also, I've got red plates with not many uses for them, so it's actually really good use of extra pieces. Then I can put more red in there, and then I can have my buffers on the ends. But before I add those, onto each of the sides, I'm going to add a Technic brick. And the good thing about these is obviously they come in different lengths depending on what the gap between the 2 wheels is. And for each of these, I'm going to add loads of these half Technic pins in there and add tiny little horn pieces. So we've got spikes. And these aren't the ones with friction, but I thought using white ones was a lot more important because then, well, we haven't got another colour sort of leaking in. And the fact that they can turn around just means we'll have them all at different sort of spiky angles. Hopefully they won't end up all pointing the same way in use, but I think that looks pretty scary if you ask me. So I like that, and that'll stand out really well against the black. It's a pity they don't come in glow in the dark, or I'd totally be doing that. So anyway, we'll add the buffers on there, and there is our very short wagon base. Very nice indeed. Love that little blood red stripe. Cool, so then we can have the main section of the middle next in white as a nice contrast, and this is going to be, well, where the body is laying, so we better do a little place done in dark red velvet for the body to be lying in state. Oh golly, that won't go on. There we go. And I'm using cheese web pieces for the pillow because I want to keep this as flat as possible so the body can lay flat. And I'm also going to add some of these lovely rose pieces, the kind of flower pieces that were in Friend sets and Belleville and stuff like that. They're a bit harder to get now, but they're very nice indeed. And I thought that would be all these sort of spooky flowers around the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that looks great already. Wonderful colours. The bright green really makes the red pop, if you ask me. So that looks really cool. So who to have lying in this wagon? Well, I thought, well, we could have a vampire. We could even have Strahd here, but he's not sleepy at the moment. He's very thirsty at the moment. Anyway, yeah, I could have all sorts of different beasties, or maybe just an innocent, maybe a young lady or something like that. But I thought, no, we're going for glow in the dark here. So there's only one person who can fit in here, and that is this. The character Nearly Headless Nick, who is, well, head to toe in glow-in-the-dark pieces. Now, there is a non-glow-in-the-dark version, I think, from the Hogwarts Great Hall 75954, but this is the glow-in-the-dark version from 76389, Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets 2021. And I believe this character in the films was when Harry Skywalker meets a ghost in the cave in the Dagobah system. Yeah, very scary scene indeed. So he is absolutely perfect as that ghost. So he will glow in the dark inside here. And if I'm just squeeze him in between the rose pieces, which I've got sticking in the way, there we go. Then he can lie very flat on that bed of velvet and look very nice indeed. And hopefully he'll glow brilliantly through the big side windows. So these are great big canopy windows, which can go on each side. And then I want some sort of ornate gold posts on top of modified bricks for the sides. And for even more sort of gold, or brass I suppose it would be, I've got some spooky lanterns made out of another telescope piece with a trans neon yellow lantern on there. I can do the same thing on the other side, like that. So that's looking pretty good, and we can definitely see the body in through the window. That's great. And then I think the best bit of that original set, the Vampire Hearse, was the kind of red curtains that were sort of fringing the window of the hearse. So that is what I've repeated here, using these modified plates with the tooth sort of part on it, and they're just on a row of brackets with a black tile along the top. And so I can put that on there. Oh, no, that's a bit low, isn't it? If we did that, we wouldn't be able to see him at all. We need something else first. We need some bricks and plates. So that can go on next. Get this right. Oh, that goes on there. And then we get the ornate curtain. Ah, that looks a bit better. Yep, we can still see him. And that fringe looks really nice. And again, we've got some more red for that contrast colour. Cool. So same thing again for the other side. And that's on, looking good. And then for the ends, we want a bit more curtainage. So I've just done that with a panel instead of that big windscreen piece for in here. And we'll just put some 1x1x5 bricks in the gaps. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's always hard building on camera, but it's also hard building when you've got wheels, because everything rolls around. Yeah, glutton for punishment. I could just show you the finished beast, couldn't I? But it's much more fun building it in front of you. So there we go. So we've got that curtain on all four sides. Very nice indeed. So there we go. That looks very ornate and very special. I absolutely adore those roses on the inside. I think they really make it. And these horns as well, all at different angles, look absolutely great. Cool. So then for the front and back, I want to make this look a bit more angular, like the original train build. So what I've got is these slopes on top of an L-shaped plate with a stud there, just because there's a bit of space for it to go kind of like that and like that. Give it a lot more detail on the ends, and that and that. Ooh. And then because this train isn't that long, I'm not going to need to connect all of the buffer pieces together, all the magnets. I think it'll be able to sort of just use magnet strength to hold it together. So I thought getting a glow-in-the-dark spider and putting it onto the magnet would mean that spiders were crawling over the whole train, and this one's leaping from one wagon to the next, and that'll be another thing that glows in the dark. I basically went through the entire catalogue of glow-in-the-dark pieces and thought, how many of these are going to be useful? Some are crazy rare, and some I wasn't able to get, but yeah, I've got as many as I could, so that'll be something else that's very visible. Right, cool. Then onto the roof. Well, we've got this great big plate. Now, doing this live might be a bit of a problem, so yeah, if I swear, apologies, but we'll try and get this on. Yeah, I think I'm going to pause. Well, that is less easy to add than you might have thought. All the tool pieces need to be perfectly aligned because you can't manipulate some of them from the outside. But yeah, it eventually went on, and that is looking pretty good as an enclosed hearse. I like it a great deal, but we need much more ornate stuff on the top. So continuing the theme from the original set, I've got some big slopes here with some bones on the top for more spookiness. And actually, these bones are a piece that is available in glow-in-the-dark white, but I didn't manage to get a single one because they aren't that common, and I'd need about 12, I think, because I've got bones all over this whole train when it's finished. But yeah, that looks pretty good still, but we need a lot more. So again, from the original set, these more horn pieces on the sides, adding more white as well, good contrast, makes it stand out. And then I've added a bit more trans neon yellow for the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then because we haven't got anywhere near enough glow-in-the-dark pieces yet on this, I've got loads more glow-in-the-dark cones. And I've added the spring green horn pieces to this just to make it look a bit more spooky and eerie. So I'm going to have 4 pointing towards the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 more pointing forward and back. 5, 6, It's the wrong type of count, really, isn't it? It's not Count von Count, it's Count Strad von Zarevich. So 8, There we go. So that looks rather fantastic, if you ask me. But as if that wasn't enough glow-in-the-dark pieces, I'm going to add another spider to the roof. Because, well, why not? I started buying them, basically, and now I've ended up with about 10. So I think the whole train's going to be caked in spooky glow-in-the-dark spiders as well. But that will make it show up even better. So we've got the glow-in-the-dark man on the inside, who I think looks perfect because he just looks like a ghostly white dead figure rather than anything particularly Harry Pottery. We've got 2 spiders and these 8 cones, all glowing as it goes along the track. And I think the addition of these eerie trans neon yellow bits on the sort of front and back down here, on the lanterns and on the top, make it look spooky as well. And the bright red really pops. Oh, and those roses, absolutely fantastic. So I love that. I think Strad will be happy with that as the first spooky carriage of our Halloween ghost train. Cool, let's get on with the second one. Lovely, that looks fantastic. But we will continue with another one, and the base of this one is going to be the same, albeit a bit shorter. I've just got a 4x4 instead of a 4x6 this time, but I'm still going to build it up in the same way. Make it nice and strong. And this time, instead of a 1x4 Technic brick in the gap, I can just do a 1x2 Technic brick in the gap. So I only have one spiky bit on each side, but I think that'll really tie all of the wagons together, the fact that they've got that red stripe and that bit throughout all of them. That's definitely one improvement from the original. So there's our slightly shorter base. And this time I'm going to use a 6x6 white plate as the base layer. But I'm still going to add the corner pieces on for each end. And that means that I managed to squeeze in just a tiny bit of that accent colour of the trans neon yellow in there on all four corners as well. Now this one is a lot more simple, but basically looking through all of the glow-in-the-dark pieces, there was one that I just had to include, and that was the glow-in-the-dark skeletal horse. So I thought, how on earth can I use this? Would they just be transporting skeletal horses, or would it be Death himself? Yeah, the Grim Reaper atop his skeletal steed, waving his scythe around, basically looking very menacing. And I thought, well, that would be quite cool. Maybe it'd be really cool on the back, so he was looking backwards behind the train at all the scared folk who just watched it pass, and he could point at them as if to say, you will be next. So I think that's going to go on there, and I had quite a few of these already because I was sort of collecting them as well for my castle scenes, having loads of baddies riding on skeletal horses. So yeah, I just pilfered one from there. They glow so well. I mean, they could almost light up a room. They're that vivid. So I just thought it'd basically be a really simple kind of horse pen, I suppose, for a man riding a skeletal steed. Now on the back one, which will be the very, very back of the train, as I say, I thought it would be useful to have one of those backlights, I forget what they're called, just to sort of show another train that there is a train here and not to come careering into the back of us. And that obviously would need a neon light. And then also, yeah, the obligatory glow-in-the-dark spider. Why don't we put him right on? Oh, actually, why don't we attach him onto one of these side pieces here? So he's just hanging on with his mouth. Or maybe he's just crawling along and looks like he is. So that looks pretty cool. Then we can have our Death's horse. Does Death's horse have a name? War, pestilence, something like that. And I thought, who can I use for Death? I was thinking, I'll just get a black character, you know, black all over with a nice hood, and that would look perfect. But then I was looking through my stuff and I came across this guy. Hello. This is even more brilliant if you ask me. I mean, it's not strictly Death because he is a sort of hooded character, but you know, if you're going to have somebody with their head on fire and it's a skull and he's got all this sort of fire going through him and chains and stuff like that, I thought, yeah, I just have to use this. So this is the character Ghost Rider, you might be aware, and this particular version of him came in 76058, Spider-Man Ghost Rider Team Up from 2016, which implies that he's a goodie. I assumed he was a baddie because, well, I mean, check him out. But if he's teaming up with Spider-Man, does that make him a goodie? I presume so. But anyway, so he can go on there. Bit of an odd-looking goodie. And then we can make a big scythe for him with a bar piece, another bar piece on the top just to make it a bit longer, and one of these lovely side pieces. I mean, that it's just hugely oversized and therefore absolutely perfect. So I'm going to give him that in his hand there and have it at an angle so it sort of catches your view wherever you are. And there we go. Pretty simple one as the second back one. But I think that these two are the beginnings of an absolutely fabulous ghostly train. So this is going to be brilliant. So I'm planning two more parts of this series. Obviously, we're going to have the locomotive and its tender for the third part because I haven't got all the bits for that yet. So the second part will be two more funky wagons. But can you guess what they will include? Well, if they're anything like these two, I think they're going to be great. I just love this sort of red line with the teeth running along the bottom. And that will continue across all the others as well. So yeah, a really good start here. I think the hearse one has to be my favourite, even though Death is awesome. I mean, it's a very hard competition of which one's best, even out of the two that I've done. So yeah, very happy with that. And I'll have to be on the lookout for more glow-in-the-dark bone pieces. But yeah, Strahd seems happy. Is that a happy face? I'm not sure. It just looks thirsty, doesn't it? But I'm very happy with those. Do tell me what you think. Well, if you do watch my haul videos, then this is the reason why all those glow-in-the-dark pieces, red tooth pieces, and all these horns and so on were in all of the last kind of half dozen packages. It all makes sense now. There'll be a lot more to come in parts 2 and 3 as well. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there's many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. I, for one, can't wait to get all of this done and then have it going around my loop track, but with the lights off. I think that's when it's going to look absolutely amazing. I won't give you a preview just with 2 carriages. I'm going to make you wait until Halloween. So next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul on Wednesday. No video on Monday this time, I'm afraid. And that will hopefully have some more pieces for the locomotive. And then we'll be doing the second part of this series next week. So until all of that, see you. What's that, Strahd? Needs more blood.